showing respect and getting ready. And I heard our kindergartners sing the school song this time. You've been practicing with Mrs. Batchelor. So thank you so much. We appreciate that. Welcome to a special day, a special celebration. Our government, by law, sets aside the day of September 17th as Constitution Day. But we weren't in school yesterday. We were in school the 18th, so we decided that we would celebrate it today. And they want every school to learn about this very important document. And a document is a piece of paper. But it's so much more than just a regular piece of paper. This is a copy, kind of a smaller copy. The real Constitution was bigger than this. But it's just a picture, a very good copy of what the Constitution looks like. And sometime when you get up close and get to look at it, you'll see that it was written by hand. They had no typewriters, no computers, no printing press, no copiers. All they had was men that wrote it with ink pens and wrote it by hand. And then they all had to agree on all these words. And there's a lot of words in here. And then they signed their names below saying, "We, the people, all agree to everything it says in the Constitution." Say Constitution with me. Constitution. Thank you. Ours, the one that we wrote, that we're celebrating today, is the oldest, the longest lasting set of rules of any other country. Even though there's many countries a lot older than our country, we wrote this Constitution, and it is the one that has lasted the longest. It's the people's law. It wasn't written by a king or a ruler. It was written by a group of people. What it says in here is you have to be elected by the people to represent us. And the people who lead our country aren't our masters, like kings or dictators or tyrants. They are our servants. They work for us. This was brand new. This was a new idea. And they decided we can't trust one man, so we need to divide the power with a lot of people. So this is the longest standing Constitution ever written. Some have been written since. They looked at ours and said, that is a good thing. We want our country to have a Constitution. So others have been written, but ours is the longest standing. It was called the most wonderful work. It's all these men who signed their names were called the purest patriots. They really loved their country. And they were said to be the wisest. That means someone who really knows what's good. The wisest statesman. And while they were writing it, they said it was almost like a higher power. Divine providence helped us write it. So for 219 years, we have had this wonderful Constitution. Today, you are going to learn why we're celebrating, what the name of the day is, and Mrs. Johnson has already told you once, it's Constitution Day. Remember, because our student council is going to come around and ask classes questions to see if you remember what we are going to learn today in our assembly. So keep remembering, oh yeah, today is called Constitution Day. They might ask you when the Constitution was signed, and they're going to be telling you. So be listening for that date. And Mrs. Johnston also told you that date. September what? 17th. And they'll tell you the year. So try to remember that. They'll even tell you what city the men were in who were writing this Constitution. And they elected a president at this Constitution, and you'll learn who he is, and it's someone you'll know. You will know his name. And then there was someone who had to write all these words down, all the laws, all the things they agreed on. And you will hear his name. You'll find out who was the oldest man at this signing who helped write it. Which man was the oldest? And you might remember his name, because he's someone that we talk about a lot. You older boys and girls will want to know and remember the 3 branches of government. This is where they came from. And our skit and the people today will talk about those. And then why they met, what it was that they met and wrote all these words for. So after we have our assembly and after your teachers talk to you about the Constitution, starting at about noon, our student council will go into each room and they'll ask you 3 questions. Now, if your whole class can answer them, it doesn't mean that every one of you has to know all 3, but if someone in your class can answer the 3 questions, your class will get a copy of your very own copy of the Constitution of the United States. And I hope today that you will all remember what's being said here, and that when you go home, this won't be tossed and thrown out. You'll keep it in a special place. And on the back, there's a pledge. And I hope you will write your name there and you'll keep it. Our school bought these for everyone. And we thought about having you bring some money to pay for them, and we decided no, because we want everyone to have one. And even if you're kind of little and you can't read all these words, will you save this and know that it's important, and then as you get older, you will have this to read of your very own. Not just one for your family, but one for you. And I want you to save it in a safe place. And on the back, it says that I have read this, or will read when I'm a little older, and I will sign my name right here on the back, so you know it's yours and it doesn't get lost. But we will leave these with you. So listen today. We're excited to have also in our school, remember we had the Freedom Gallery fundraiser at Back to School Night, and guess what? In one night, our parents donated enough money to buy the Freedom Gallery. It's arrived. One of our Eagle Scouts and people from our district are going to help install it. Teachers will be using it. We'll have it up in our school. We'll have special lights shining on it. And this piece is of the Constitution. There will be many other images, but you can walk by and see the way they wrote back in 1787. And look how big the first 3 words are. We, the people. And that's the theme of our District Davis Reads this year. And below it, for the teachers to use and students to use, below every image is a plaque that tells you and has information here about the Constitution and the other documents. So, we are now going to start, and you're going to be on the program first. Our first order is when I tell you, we're going to stand respectfully, but don't do it yet. We're going to stand respectfully. We're going to sing our national anthem, and then we're going to say the pledge. But I want you to show the parents that are here and our teachers how respectfully you can stand and be ready to sing. Please stand.
colonies were in sorry shape. England lost the war but refused to leave forts in the West. Nobody wanted to be Texas.
States printed their own money. Pirates caught and sank our ships. States feuded with each other. Washington said the government was shaken to its very foundation.
Well, George Washington, if something must be done, you're the man to do it. You're the best known citizen of this land, and the most respected. We must have a meeting to talk about the Articles of Confederation, and you must come to it.
I have served my country throughout a long and terrible war. Now I just want to go back to being a farmer as I was before.
You can't go back, George. The country needs you. The country trusts you.
And how about you, Benjamin Franklin? You're one of our most brilliant statesmen.
And one of our oldest.
Nevertheless, you must come.
Besides, the meeting will be held in Philadelphia. You live there. You don't have to go far.
I don't know. I'm in the middle of inventing something new.
Don't talk to me about inventions. If all of us aren't pretty inventive and soon, we may not have a country much longer. Gentlemen, we are at a critical moment in our history. The delegates were due to arrive on the second Monday in May 1787.
There's a critical moment in everything. There's a critical moment in that. There is a critical moment in everything. There's a time you really must act.
So on May 14, 1787, the meeting was to be held in the State House in Philadelphia. It was to be the hottest summer on record. They started to work. George Washington is elected the presiding officer of the convention.
Madison, you can be the secretary. You like to get everything written down.
Thank you. I'd be delighted.
The chair recognizes Governor Edmund Randolph of Virginia.
This country is in a bad way, Mr. Washington. We need a totally new constitution and a different form of government.
So what will become of our states?
We can never become a nation as long as each state is allowed to pursue its own foreign policy.
We must preserve our state rights.
We must have a strong central government.
Gentlemen, you have been arguing for days now.
The chair recognizes the delegate of Pennsylvania, Governor Morris.
Gentlemen, the whole human race will be affected by what we do here. All of you must make a strong choice or a conforming. Gentlemen, will we create a constitution?
Yes!
We're writing the Constitution. We're writing the Constitution. We're writing the Constitution. We can do it. We can try it if we get some peace and quiet. 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 Quiet.
talk and argue some more. To shout and bang your fist.
Votes in the legislature should be based on the number of people in the state. Outrageous, that would give all the power to the larger state. There should be an equal number of votes for every state.
Then what happens to majority rules?
And so it goes, argument and more argument and compromise. Did these states ever agree on a theme? The small states were against the large states. The states' rights people were against the nationalists. What would they do?
What have we done here today, I wonder?
The best that we can do, George, the best that we can make. It's now the test for America to take. Then came that day on September 17, 1787, when the Constitution, written on parchment, was finished. The Constitution may well be what John Adams called it, the greatest single effort of national deliberation that the world has ever seen.
One by one, questions came up and were answered. Ideas were written down and provisions were made for the changes in the future.
Finally, the work is done, and the Constitution lays before us, inscribed on parchment for the first time.
I confess that there are several parts of the Constitution which I do not approve. Still, I agree to it with all its faults. I do so because I expect no better, and because I am not sure that it's not the best. We must all act unanimously in recommending this Constitution. And so I ask all here to doubt a little his or her infallibility and put his or her name to this instrument.
September 17th, 1787. It is the date I will never forget. This day, 39 of us from 12 states have signed the Constitution of the United States of America.
We, the people of the United States,
In order to form a more perfect union,
establish justice,
ensure domestic tranquility,
provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare,
and secure the blessings of liberty,
to ourselves and our posterity,
do ordain and establish this Constitution
for the United States of America.
to our sixth graders who did the solo. And to our student council for performing here today. Okay, teachers, in your boxes, you have a list of questions. And so hopefully you will prepare your students so they can have a constitution today. And some questions we'll ask the younger kids. So before we let her go, we're going to sing happy birthday to her. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miss Snow. Happy birthday to you.